Hello, my little Luxes. This is another episode of Luxxxy Charms, and I'm your host, cosplayer Charsie Lux, and this is another episode of Ghost Stories My Father Used to Tell Me. Now, yes, I am definitely wearing the exact same outfit that I was in the last video because this is the exact same day. I'm just trying to be smart and record multiple videos on the same day, and I'm in a good mood. I'm feeling good, so I'm just feeling like, you know what, let's just take the opportunity and film. So I am doing my second video for the day. Granted, you're gonna see this a lot farther down the line, then you're not going to see it back to back with the other one. But on today's episode, since we are officially in the month of July, we are in the theme of Dead Girl Summer. So my little spoof on Hot Girl Summer, because, you know, why not? But my ghost story today, I am actually going to be reading from this book right here. So, and it is from the Chilling Horror Short Stories, Gothic and Fantasy. I haven't had a chance to read all the stories yet, but I've been skimming through it. I have found a whole bunch of different, like, folklores and ghost stories, horror stories, and oh my gosh, I am so excited for these. So I figured from time to time I can give myself, my brain, if you watched my last video, you'll understand why, but giving myself a break, that instead of me creating the stories or remembering old stories that my dad had told me, just reading from a book. So don't mind me if I disappear from the scenery. I'm going to read from the book, and you'll see me either here or you'll see a scenery as I read to you from my ghost story. Chilling Horror Short Stories. The Vampire by Jan Neruda. The excursion steamer brought us from Constantinople to the shore of the island of Peekapoo, and we disembarked. The number of passengers was not large. There was one Polish family, a father, a mother, a daughter, and her bridegroom, and then we two. Oh yes, I must not forget that when we were already on the wooden bridge which crosses the Golden Horn to Constantinople, a Greek, a rather youthful man, joined us. He was probably an artist, judging by the portfolio he carried under his arm. Long black locks floated to his shoulders. His face was pale, and his black eyes were deeply set in his sockets. From the first moment he interested me, especially for his obligingness and for his knowledge of the local conditions, but he talked too much, and I then turned away from him. All the more agreeable was the Polish family. The father and the mother were good-natured, fine people, the lover a handsome young fellow of direct and refined manners. They had come to Prinkapoo to spend the summer months for the sake of the daughter, who was slightly ailing. The beautiful pale girl was either just recovering from a severe illness or else a serious disease was just fastening its hold upon her. She leaned upon her lover when she walked and very often sat down to rest, while a frequent dry little cough interrupted her whispers. Whenever she coughed, her escort would considerately pause in their walk. He always cast upon her a glance of sympathetic suffering, and she would look back at him as if to say, "It is nothing, I am happy." They believed in health and happiness. On the recommendation of the Greek, who departed from us immediately at the pier, the family secured quarters in the hotel on the hill. The hotel keeper was a Frenchman, and his entire building was equipped comfortably and artistically, according to the French style. We breakfasted together, and when the noon heat had abated somewhat, we all betook ourselves to the heights, where in the grove of the Siberian stone pines we could refresh ourselves with the view. Hardly had we found a suitable spot and settled ourselves when the Greek appeared again. He greeted us lightly, looked about, and seated himself only a few steps from us. He opened his portfolio and began to sketch. I think he purposely sits with his back to the rocks so that we can't look at his sketch, I said. We don't have to, said the young Pole. We have enough before us to look at. After a while he added, it seems to me he's sketching us in a sort of background. Well, let him. We truly did have enough to gaze at. There's not a more beautiful or more happy corner of the world than that very peekapoo. The political martyr, Irene, contemporary of Charles the Great, lived there for a month as an exile. If I could live a month in my life there, I would be happy for the memory of it for the rest of my days. I shall never forget even that one day spent at Pinkapoo. The air was as clear as a diamond, so soft, so caressing, that one's whole soul swung out upon it into the distance. At the right beyond the sea projected the brown Asiatic summits. To the left in the distance purpled the steep coast of Europe. The neighboring Chalky, one of the 9 islands of the Prince Archipelago, rose with its cypress forest in the peaceful heights like a sorrowful dream, crowned by a giant structure, as asylum for those whose minds are sick. The Sea of Marmora was but slightly ruffled and played in all colors like a sparkling opal. In the distance the sea was as white as milk, then rosy between the 2 islands, a glowing orange, and below us it was beautifully greenish blue, like a transparent sapphire. It was resplendent in its own beauty. Nowhere were there any large ships. Only 2 small craft, flying the English flag, sped along the shore. One was a steamboat as big as a watchman's booth. The second had about 12 oarsmen, and when their oars rose simultaneously, molten silver dripped from them. Trustful dolphins darted in and out among them, and drove with long arching flights above the surface of the water. Through the blue heavens now and then calm eagles winged their way, measuring the space between 2 continents. The entire slope below us was covered with blossoming roses, whose fragrance filled the air. From the coffee house near the sea, music was carried up to us through the clear air, hushed somewhat by the distance. The effect was enchanting. We all sat silent and steeped our souls completely in the picture of paradise. The young Polish girl lay on the grass, with her head supported on the bosom of her lover. The pale oval of her delicate face was slightly tinged with the soft color, and from her blue eyes tears suddenly gushed forth. The lover understood, bent down, and kissed her, tear after tear. Her mother also was moved to tears, and I, even I, felt a strange twinge. Here mind and body both must get well, whispered the girl. How happy a land this is. God knows I haven't any enemies, but if I had, I would forgive them here, said the father in a trembling voice. And again, we became silent. We were all in such a wonderful mood, so unspeakably sweet it all was. Each felt for himself a whole world of happiness, and each one would have shared his happiness with the whole world. All felt the same, and so no one disturbed another. We had scarcely even noticed the Greek. After an hour or so, had arisen, folded his portfolio, and with a slight nod had taken his departure. We remained. Finally, after several hours, when the distance was becoming overspread with a darker violet, so magically beautiful in the south, the mother reminded us it was time to depart. We arose and walked down towards the hotel with the easy, elastic steps that characterize carefree children. We sat down in the hotel under a handsome veranda. Hardly had we been seated when we heard below the sounds of quarreling and oaths. Our Greek was wrangling with the housekeeper, and for the entertainment of it, we listened. The amusement did not last long. If I didn't have other guests, growled the hotel keeper, and ascended the steps towards us. I beg you to tell me, sir, asked the young Pole of the approaching hotel keeper. Who is that gentleman? What is his name? Who knows what that fellow's name is, grumbled the hotel keeper, and he gazed venomously downwards. We call him the vampire. An artist? Fine trade. He sketches only corpses. Just as soon as someone in Constantinople or here in the neighborhood dies, that very day he has a picture of the dead one completed. The fellow paints them beforehand, and he never makes a mistake. Just like a vulture. The old Polish woman shrieked affrightedly. In her arms lay her daughter, pale as chalk. She had fainted. In one bound, the lover had leaped down the stairs. With one hand he seized the Greek, and with the other reached for the portfolio. We ran down after him. Both men were rolling in the sand. The contents of the portfolio were scattered all about. On one sheet, sketched with a crayon, was the head of the young Polish girl, her eyes closed and a wreath of myrtle on her brow. But thank you for joining me again on another Luxxxy Charms of Ghost Stories My Father Used to Tell Me. I hope you enjoyed that little chilling tale. I know I definitely got into that one, but oof, my goodness. But we'll have more fun to come for the month of July for Dead Girl Summer. I'm excited because my vacation is also coming up. My wedding anniversary is coming up. So this is a very special month to me. So next week I hope to be doing a review on one of the very cheesy horror movies that I love. It is stupid, but I absolutely love this one. So you'll have to tune in to find out what that movie is. But you can find me on my Twitter for Charsie Lux, and that's with 3 X's. And you can find me on my Instagram for Charsie87. I also have another YouTube channel that I do with my friend DC called Little Channel of Horrors. And once again, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, the rest of your night, whatever time of the day it is. I hope you have a fantastic time. Have a good one. Bye! Need to remember not to scoot the chair when I need to turn on and off the video.